Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Alfonso Speaks and more of the Karen Reed trial. First of all, before we get started today, like, share, subscribe. Follow me on my social media platforms that you see below. Make sure you hit that bell for notifications so that you could be one of the first to know when I upload a video. Also, make sure you get a channel membership because I upload these videos before they come out, like way before they ever come out in some instances. This is one of the videos where I'm recording it on the same day, but that's not the case for most of my videos. If you look at my channel, you can see there's a bunch of videos that are just waiting to come out on their respective days. But if you're a channel member, you can see all of them as soon as I upload them. Also, go Pack Go, baby. Go Pack Go. It's always a good Monday when the Packers win on Sunday, baby. Let's go. Yes, sir. Okay, let's get serious and let's get down to business. Last time we did a Karen Reed trial video, we were looking at the opening statements for both the prosecution and the defense. And I came away from that very suspicious of the prosecution and very much leaning towards what the defense had to say. But I've got my handy dandy notebook and it's got unicorns on it at the top here. And I'm really excited to take notes as if I was a real jury member and keep up with this case and see what makes sense and what doesn't. So we have our first witness here today, and it is going to be the first responder by the name of Timothy Nuttall. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. But he's going to be our first witness today that we take a look at. So without further ado, sorry it's so bright. It's a little flash frame right here that they were in. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's see his testimony. It's going to be a testimony that's approximately, let's see, it starts at about 3:10 and wraps up at about, geez, man, a half an hour. These people can talk, man. I swear. Okay, let's just let's just get into it. Timothy Nuttall, everybody. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, all that stuff I said earlier. Let's do this. Oh, wait, let me switch my audio over so that we're not getting an echo. All right, that should handle that. Let's see. All right, we're good.
All right, Mr. Brennan, your first witness, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Commonwealth calls Timothy Nuttall.
By the way, this is the first case I've ever watched where the prosecution keeps referring to themselves as the Commonwealth. Is that something that I need to be recognizing, or can I just call them the prosecution? Because for this video, I'm just going to say the prosecution, but I'll let you guys, I guess, tell me whether or not that's inappropriate. I don't know. I don't live in Massachusetts. I live in Maryland, so I'm not sure how they do things up there.
Watch your step. And stand in and face the clerk. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the evidence given to the court and jury in the case now and herein should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Sir.
Thank you. You can take the seat.
Sir, could you pull the microphone down a little bit closer to you, please?
Yes, sir. Or yes, ma'am. Excuse me.
All right, whenever you're ready, Mr. Brennan.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
So my name is Timothy Nuttall.
Bro, that Boston accent is thick, bro. Jeez, man. Jeez. That New England accent is thick. Lord. Some Boston. Yeah. Jesus. All right. Sorry, that threw me off, man. Goodness.
I'm 28 years old. I've been a firefighter paramedic for ever since I graduated high school. I graduated in 2015. I took my EMT class and got my certification while I was actually still in high school. From there, I moved on to the BLS transfer side of EMS. There's 911 EMS, and then there's transfer, which is basically back and forth from hospital to hospital. I was brand new and very young, so I started on the transfer side, kind of learning the job. I started primarily in the city of Chelsea, Everett, Malden, Somerville, up there. And then after a little while, I got my feet wet in the 911 side. So I was running BLS 911 in those cities as well. And then I progressed on to become a paramedic. So
Why do you have such an interest in being a first responder at a young age?
I kind of grew up in a first responder household. My father was a firefighter in a local town. So we spent kind of a significant amount of time at the station when he was on shift. It's just kind of how I grew up, kind of learning the ins and outs of public safety. That's just kind of how.
I'm really eager just to get into his actual testimony. I understand that these are like foundational things that they have to ask to build credibility of the witness. I understand, but I believe that he's a first responder and that he loves his job. I really just start asking the questions.
I came to be interested in the profession, and then I took it from there. So
I want to take us back just a little bit. When you first became interested in training to be a first responder, did you share with us your first training was as an EMT?
yes, sir.
Can you share a little bit with the jury what that entails?
So to become an EMT, there are two sides of EMS, and then there are two sides of providers. There's EMT basic, and then there's paramedic. To answer your question, sir, to start as an EMT, it's about a 4-month process. You take classes. I believe mine was Tuesday, Thursday, every other Saturday. Learning just anatomy and physiology, basic pharmacology, and kind of how medications interact with the body in different disease processes. From there, you start learning basic interventions, backboarding, C-collars.
As part of your work in learning to be an EMT, are you active in the field?
The initial training is, that's mostly classroom-based, but once you sit your national written test and you're able to pass all that and pass practical, then you're able to progress into the field.
And did you succeed through the EMT training?
Yes, sir.
At that point, did you decide you wanted more training? You want to proceed through the profession?
Yes, sir. So after a little while, I worked for about a year and a half in the field and decided that I genuinely enjoyed the work that I was doing. I then made the decision to progress to the paramedic level. That's a significantly more challenging academic portion. And
Can you briefly share with us a little bit of the training that you needed to complete to be a paramedic?
yes,
And how-
paramedic training is about, I would say, generally takes people about 2 years to complete. There's about 1 year of classroom. It delves far deeper into not only diseases, but how they interact with multiple body systems, multiple different treatment modalities that we can pursue, multiple different interventions, a whole host of medications, far more medications than a BLS. As a paramedic, I have a much wider range of drugs that I would be able to select to treat different patients.
As you worked through your training and got this experience, did you ultimately become employed by the Canton Fire Department?
Yes, sir.
What did they hire you as?
They hired me as a firefighter paramedic.
And so you were both a firefighter and a paramedic.
Yes, sir.
Does the Canton Police Department, in their units, do they include paramedics and firefighters in the same division?
The Canton Police Department or the
I
Canton
mean,
Fire?
I'm sorry, the Canton Fire Department.
Canton Fire Department, the vast majority of the employees of the Canton Fire Department are paramedics. I believe there are I want to say 5 EMTs, but now as a requirement to remain employed by the Canton Fire Department, you have to become and maintain a paramedic certification.
So when you would go to work as a firefighter or paramedic, was it always the same, or did you get assigned as a firefighter one night and a paramedic a different night?
So we would cross-man trucks. We were always fire suppression personnel, but we were also cross-trained as paramedics. So for example, if a fire call were to come in the town of Canton, and I was assigned to ambulance 1 for the day, I would take all my equipment off ambulance 1, and I would transfer it to ladder 1, and then we would take ladder 1 to the fire call and operate as fire suppression personnel. If a medical call were to come in, I'm assigned again to ambulance 1. Then we take on the role as EMS. I take my paramedic skills and put them to work in the town on ambulance 1.
Let me ask you one more background question about how the Canton Fire Department works. When there's a call, an emergency call, is an ambulance sent with other vehicles or alone to the call?
Yes, sir. It's typically an engine, the engine of that district, and the ambulance of that district. Depending on call volume, that can change. But if all is not to use the word quiet, it's kind of a taboo word, but if all is everybody's in quarters, and there's a dispatch in District 1, it'll be Canton Engine 3 and Canton Ambulance 1, and they go as a unit together.
Mr. Nuttall, I want you to take us back, if you would, to the early morning hours of January 22nd, 2022. I want you to bring us.
Here we go. Now we're getting into the good stuff. So let me write the dates down. January 22nd, 2022. Let me make sure that was the right date.
Mr. Nuttall, I want you to take us back, if you would, to the early morning hours of January 22nd, 2022.
We're good.
I want you to bring us a little bit before 6 a.m. Do you remember what you were doing?
Yes, sir. So that particular morning, I arrived at work earlier than I normally do. There was inclement weather that morning, so I left earlier than normal just to get in before the roadways got particularly difficult to travel, and to relieve anybody that may need to get out if they needed to get home before the roads got particularly bad. I arrived just before 6 a.m. I was walking in. I was assigned to ambulance 1 for that oncoming 24. I was scheduled to be there at 8 a.m.
Could you share with us a little bit about how the weather was as you arrived around 6 a.m.?
It wasn't great. I was driving. It's about a 35-minute ride for me to get to Canton. The roads were starting to get. They weren't great. They had been treated, but they weren't pristine. The wind was starting to pick up. The snow was starting to come down a little heavier, which is the reason that I left at the time I did.
And so I may have misspoke. January 29th, 2022, that morning.
29th, not 22nd.
Around 6:04, did you hear a tone or did you hear an alarm?
So the tones went off right as I entered the building.
Tell us what a tone is.
So the tone is the emergency alert tone. In the town of Canton, we have 3. We have 1 for fire, we have 1 for investigation, and we have 1 for EMS. The EMS tones went off and the lights came on. Whenever there's the tones go off, the lights come on as well. I was just walking into the building when the tones went off and the lights came on.
And is there information that accompanies the tone, information about the call that needs response?
Yes. So after the tones had cleared, there's an overhead dispatch, which is our dispatch center, communicates to us before we get in the trucks and on the air responding, basic nature of the call. In that particular instance, we were dispatched to an unresponsive male in a snowbank with no real further information to follow up on.
And so what do you do?
So as I said, I arrived pretty early that morning. But hearing that dispatch and that nature of the call, those typically tend to be more involved, both personnel-wise and work-wise. The crew that was working that morning was getting on the truck, and it was firefighter paramedic Anthony Flamati and firefighter EMT Matt Kelly. Matt Kelly has since become a paramedic, but at the time he was an EMT. So off the bat, that crew, not to say that they were at a disadvantage, but paramedic Flamati was the only paramedic on that ambulance.
What did you do?
So I made the decision. I checked with the shift commander, and I jumped on ambulance 1 to just give a second set of hands as being a paramedic myself, just being able to hopefully help if there was any advanced interventions that needed to be done or needed to be performed.
What happened?
And just a second set of hands.
What happens next?
So I got in the back of the truck. I was actually still in civilian clothing at the time because I had just walked in the door. So I got in the back of ambulance 1 in the patient compartment. The other 2 gentlemen were up front. driving to the scene. I actually had to don my turnout gear because, again, I was in civilian clothing. I wasn't quite ready to go. So I had to put all my structural turnout gear on and then my Canton Fire jacket. Once I was sufficiently dressed for the call, I started prepping all the gear that we might need for a call such as that, for an unresponsive male in the snow. In this case, it was our first in bag, our airway bag, and our cardiac monitor. Everything was all together. They were all in 3 separate bags. But I just, on the way there, I just got in. I didn't know how their night had gone, so I just took a real quick look at everything just to make sure everything was there, and everything was exactly how it needed to be. So I was able to just grab all 3 bags, put them on my person, and get ready to, so as soon as the ambulance was on scene, just step off and go to work.
Not knowing much information about what you're going to confront, what goes through your mind as you prepare before you get off the ambulance?
Just basic scenarios. I mean, again, unresponsive male in the snow could mean several things. Not having much to go off on the dispatch was, it left much to be desired in terms of what we might need. So in gathering all the equipment together, it can kind of cover all the major bases, if you will, in terms of what we were expecting to meet once we got on scene.
How was your focus before you get off the ambulance?
I was ready to go. A dispatch like that, any unresponsive male in the snow, it can kind of up the level because you just don't know what you're walking into. You know, it could be anything.
In the back of the ambulance, you can't see outside. Could you tell anything about the weather conditions based on the way the ambulance was moving?
Again, being in the back, as you noted, it just seemed to be taking a little bit longer than normal. I really had no visibility at all. Like I said, I was in the patient compartment. It's very limited visibility in the back, and it's limited visibility. There's like a peephole that's maybe 1.5 by 1.5 to kind of peek up front.
I find myself wondering what these questions even establish. I know a lot of these questions are foundational. There's been some questions that I have basically noted as, okay, these are questions basically creating foundation that he was, Mr. Nuttall here was alert, ready to go. There's nothing that would have basically uh, blocked him from being able to make proper observations of what he was seeing, maybe. But like some of the questions, then I don't really understand what the purpose is. Like, are you trying to prove that it was snowing? Like, I don't think that's something that needs to be proven. Like, cool, it was a blizzard. I don't think anybody is going to try to say that there wasn't. So, but you see this in court cases a lot. There's just like a lot of foundational questions sometimes. And I mean, I know I'm not helping by providing this commentary, I guess, but it just seems to make things take longer than they need to.
But again, I was so busy getting everything together, I really didn't notice, but I did note it took a little bit longer. We were going not slow, but we were going cautiously.
When the ambulance finally stopped and the doors opened, tell the jury what you see.
So as I mentioned, I had the 2 bags and the cardiac monitor, so 3 pieces of equipment with me. And I stepped out of the back of the side of the truck. There's a back compartment, or a back door, and a side door. I stepped out of the side door. And I immediately noted the wind had picked up and the snow seemed to be heavier. And I could hear like a distant screaming off in the distance. Wasn't exactly sure where it was coming from.
What was the visibility like?
It wasn't great. It was still dark out. The sun had not come up yet. The snow was coming down, as I said, heavily. And it wasn't great all around.
Was it cold?
It was cold. Yes, sir.
And so when you hear the screams, what do you do next?
I started making my way kind of towards the sound, following the sounds. I couldn't see anybody yet. So I just kind of followed the sounds. And then once I was able to get around the side of the truck, that's when I was able to see a group of 3 individuals with Canton Police. And I started making my way over to them to see where the patient might be located and what was going on.
As you get closer, tell us what you see.
So as we approached the scene, as I said, there were 3 individuals, and Canton Police were on scene as well. And then there was what appeared to be a human figure laying supine in the snow. I'd say about 6 to 8 feet, kind of where the sidewalk met the front lawn of a residence.
What does supine mean?
So that he was laying on his back.
Okay.
From there, I made my way directly over to that individual and started checking for signs of life.
How do you check? Do you get close? Do you get down on the ground?
Yep, so I knelt right at his head. Typically, to check for any signs of life, it's just as you see in TV or anything like that. You check the carotid pulse, and you check for any signs of breathing or anything like that.
Where's the carotid pulse?
So the carotid pulse would be right in the neck. Like and just real quick, 2 seconds, you can check either side. They're on both sides. Those are the strongest pulses that you can grab quickly. So I just real quick went right to that gentleman. Like I said, I looked for any signs of breathing. I found none. I checked a carotid pulse, and I found none.
How was his skin to the touch?
He was very cold to the touch.
He wasn't warm?
No.
And so after you touched his cold skin and you felt the carotid, is it carotid artery? Is that how you
Yes,
call
sir. Carotid artery.
it? Did you come to any initial quick... Sorry. Did you come to any initial quick assessments or conclusions in your mind?
So I found, like I said, I checked for signs of life, the carotid, the signs of breathing. I found none. From there, we had ascertained that there is no signs of life. As I was checking that, the other 2 individuals on the ambulance came and met me, and they began doing the same thing, just to check. I mean, sometimes you can look and you can miss. So the other paramedic, Anthony Flamati, started checking my work, and then we kind of went from there. But I found no signs of life in my initial.
So firefighter paramedic Flamati arrived to this person after you did?
Yes, sir. I was the first one to actually put hands on the individual and check for signs of life.
Did you later learn the name of this man?
I did.
And what was that?
John O'Keefe.
After you found no signs of life for John O'Keefe, did you get up and go to speak to anybody?
I did. So as being a second set of hands on the call, it's really not my call, like in terms of treatment modalities and how we want to progress. So after I found no signs of life, I kind of got up to kind of look around real quick. I went over to the individuals, the 3 individuals that were there, and just said, hey, I just have found no signs of life. We're gonna see the next steps. And as I was saying that was when Anthony Flamati, who is the lead paramedic on this, made the decision this is a workable cardiac arrest.
Let me ask you 2 questions. The first is, as a paramedic firefighter, are there times when you're the lead paramedic on a call?
Yes, sir.
And so it changes call by call, but this one was firefighter or paramedic Flamati's lead?
Correct. He was the lead paramedic on this call.
There are other times when you're the lead and firefighter or paramedic Flamati is on your crew and you lead?
Yes, sir. So we typically switch off. We'll do one, and then once my rotation is complete, we'll do the next one. So it's patient for patient, typically.
When firefighter paramedic Flamati called you back and said it was a workable situation, can you explain to the jury what that means?
Yes. So in medicine, there is a term that is, you're not dead until you're warm and dead. Meaning your core temperature, your core body temperature has to be within normal limits for it to be considered a futile attempt at resuscitation. Noting that, Tony, the other paramedic, Tony Flamati, realized that this gentleman was very cold to the touch and that this was now a hypothermic cardiac arrest, or a cardiac arrest in a hypothermic setting, which means as providers, we have a duty to initiate life-saving measures, CPR, ventilation, and continue those efforts until we get him to a hospital and a physician is able to take over and they are able to monitor his core body temperature for a certain amount of time.
I want to ask you about a term you used. You said a hypothermic situation. As a firefighter paramedic treating a patient at the scene, you're not diagnosing hypothermia, are you?
No, sir.
So you're not making a medical diagnosis, you're just saying it's a hypothermic situation because of why?
Just because of the conditions, he was extremely cold to the touch, and he was in the elements. We didn't know how long, so taking the fact that he is extremely cold to the touch and he had been outside for an unknown amount of time, that quantifies it to us as a hypothermic arrest or a cardiac arrest in a hypothermic setting.
Is there anything about Mr. O'Keefe's fingers or hands or his face that gave you any indication if he had been there just recently or had been there for a while?
His fingers were quite cold. They were not well perfused at all. They were very, very.
Mean? I don't know. What does not perfused mean?
Sorry, there did not appear to have been any blood flow at all. Just because he was, again, presumably being outside, his fingers were very, very white. They were very stiff, which can be signs of hypothermia and frostbite. And again, touching the neck. So typically, when you get cold, you kind of work back from your extremities in. So again, I noted his fingers were quite cold, but also when I checked his carotid, his neck felt quite cold as well. That just kind of tipped us back further down the road of a hypothermic cardiac arrest.
I see. When firefighter Flamade called you back,
Yep.
where did you go exactly?
So when I was told that this is what we're doing, I turned around and I went right back to where I previously knelt, which was right at Mr. O'Keefe's head. And then I took over the ventilation aspect of a cardiac arrest. So I was in charge of the airway. So I began giving him positive pressure ventilations with a bag valve mask, which is just a glorified balloon that you can push oxygen through and down into your respiratory tract to get oxygen moving. While I was doing that, I believe firefighter EMT Kelly had begun CPR.
So is this fair to say it's a team effort?
Yes, sir.
A coordinated effort?
Very much so.
I could never be a paramedic. I can't. I can't do CPR on somebody that I don't even think is alive. It's weird for me, man, you know? But like that's why we have brave men and women like this gentleman who there's something within you guys where you're able to do it, man. Do I have any paramedics or EMTs that are watching this video in my comment section? What is the craziest story that you've had where, I don't know, maybe you've approached something or someone who did not show signs of life and you had to interact with that person? What is the what's the craziest experience that you've had so far when it comes to something like that? I'd like to know. Because as for me, can't do it. Won't do it. I remember when I was like 5 years old and I thought I wanted to be a firefighter. I mean, everybody my age thought they wanted to be a firefighter at that point. Nah, bruh, I'm good. I'm good. The moment I walk into a burning house and see something I don't want to see, that's the day I quit. I'm done. I'm done. And so to prevent me from even getting to that point, I'm just not going to do it. But God bless the men and women who do it because y'all are special individuals. I mean, I was in the military, but I couldn't do nothing like that. That's a lot, man.
And depending on where you're placed, whether in the back of the ambulance or driving or leading, does everybody have an important role to play?
Yes. Yeah, we work in conjunction with each other. Typically, the most well-defined roles in a cardiac arrest in EMS is your airway monitor, which was myself in this situation, and then your cardiac and medication administration, which is, that would be Anthony Flamati, that would be Tony. Just because of my position at the head, I just took over the ventilation aspect, and that was where I remained throughout the call.
You said you went back to try to help Mr. O'Keefe, and you were helping at the airway. Do you have to actually get on the ground to do that?
Yes, sir. I was kneeling at his head.
While you were kneeling at his head, well, let me ask you a more of a background question. Is it helpful to get information about the history of the person when you're trying to treat them when you happen upon a scene and you don't know the history?
Yes, sir, very much. Getting information on medications history and allergies is our top priorities in just any call, not even this call, just really any your run-of-the-mill fall or chest pain. That's typically the first questions that we ask. What medications are you on? What medical history do you have? And do you have any allergies? The medical history is important because if you've had heart attacks in the past, or just using a generalized example, if you've had heart attacks in the past, does this feel like a previous heart attack? Kind of gives us something to go off of.
As you were nailing, I want you to take us to that moment. As you're nailing, trying to help Mr. O'Keefe, did you have a chance at any point to look up?
I did.
And when you looked up when you were trying to help Mr. O'Keefe, can you tell us who you saw?
I saw a middle-aged middle-aged female with blood on her face. And real quick, as I was in the process of providing ventilations, I said, do you know this person?
The person that you looked up and saw that was standing over you with blood on her face, do you recognize that person in this courtroom?
Yes, sir.
With the court's permission, sir, could you point out that person that you looked up and saw?
In between Mr. Jackson or next to Mr. Jackson.
I see. And when you looked up and saw that person and asked about any background, what did she say to you?
I hit him.
Okay, so he's the one who believes that he heard Karen say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. That's an interesting detail, as well as saw her with blood on her face. So, it's no secret. Karen Reed has been, sorry, I was taking notes. Karen Reed has been acquitted of this crime in the retrial. So really this watch through is more of trying to figure out on my end, do I agree with the jury's decision? So this is a little detail the prosecution is presenting. This gentleman is just recalling what he saw and what he heard. Now, mind you, it's a blizzard. Visibility is low. What he believes he saw and what he believes he heard might not be completely accurate to what was actually the reality, but he's just going off of what he remembers. And I think that's important for us to remember when we're watching this. We don't want to, in the wake of the verdict that was ultimately reached and the further evidence that will be presented that people have been talking about. Again, I'm seeing this for the first time. We don't want to look at anybody like they're the villain of the story. So I just want to throw that in there. I'm not looking at him sideways because he's saying that that's what she said. That's what he remembers her saying. At the end of the day, he's being asked to present that information. He's presenting that information. It is what it is. So let's keep going.
How clearly do you remember her words saying to you, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him?
I remember it very distinctly.
You've been to a lot of calls over the years and since.
Yes, sir.
Would you say hundreds or thousands?
Thousands.
Do you remember all of them?
I remember aspects of various calls, but not all of them, no.
Do some stand out more than others?
Yes, sir.
Did this particular moment stand out more as compared to your typical or most calls that you've been to?
It did, just because of the setting. I mean, it was the weather, it was the unknown factors, and it was the attempting to try and get information and not really being able to glean anything from that.
After the defendant said to you, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, did you ask any follow-up questions?
I really didn't get a chance to, because following that, the individual just kind of walked away, or just kind of went in a different direction. I wasn't able to ask any follow-up questions.
Have you ever received any police training?
No, sir.
Are you a police officer?
No, sir.
When you're helping a patient, do you have any interest in detective work?
No, sir.
Do you have any interest in investigating potential crimes?
At that time, in this particular instance, because I was at the airway, that is a pretty critical aspect of a cardiac arrest. I was stuck there. I couldn't get up and kind of follow up on that at all. I was there doing that ventilation.
Is it your job to investigate cases or simply to get information to help treatment?
Just the information.
When you go out as a firefighter paramedic, do you have a purposeful cause?
Yes, sir.
And what is that?
To save lives.
And is that your only focus?
In this instance, it was attempting to restore circulation and breathing.
Okay, so I'm assuming this line of questioning is, of course, like it's a chess match between the prosecution and defense. I'm assuming this is to counter the eventual question of why didn't you follow up if you think that that's what she said. Fair enough. However, I kind of feel like in my viewpoint, again, I'm playing the 13th juror here. To me, that hurts your case so far, because you're saying you heard it distinctly, but then you're also bringing up that there's things that you don't remember from previous cases, but you're pushing the narrative that this was just so it was just so impactful that I never forgot it. I mean, yeah, that's realistic, but I could also look at it from the other end and say, well, because you've forgotten details from previous cases, how am I supposed to think that you have suddenly just remembered so distinctly this case specifically? um that's the chess match, and that's why we have the jury, because the jury gets to determine what they believe.
At some point with your colleagues, did you lift Mr. O'Keefe from the ground?
We did.
When you lift him, what do you put him on?
So we put him on, it's called a scoop stretcher. It's basically just a hard plastic moving device with some seatbelts on it, just to get the patient up and onto the stretcher. And then from there, we can move from the stretcher to the ambulance.
After you lift him to the stretcher, tell us what happens next.
So we put Mr. O'Keefe on the scoop stretcher, and we were able to get him onto the stretcher itself and then off to the ambulance. From there, I maintained my role as the airway individual on this call. So we made our way to the ambulance. I got in the tech seat, which is directly behind where the stretcher locks in. So I had access to the airway again. I was continuing to provide positive pressure ventilations to Mr. O'Keefe, and we had put in an OPA as well, which is just a plastic hook, if you will. It just keeps the tongue from falling back into the airway, so we can continue to provide positive pressure ventilations. Once we got him in the truck and we continued that effort, we set up a suction system, and we prepared to intubate Mr. O'Keefe. We prepared a suction system just because as I was ventilating outside of the ambulance, there were some secretions in the airway that I could see, and you could kind of hear it as you go to squeeze in breaths into the individual. You can kind of hear the secretions kind of getting like bubbly and stuff like that. So we knew we were going to need to suction him. So we got him in the truck. We really quickly suctioned him, and then we were able to intubate him successfully to definitively give him an advanced airway and give him better ventilations, get more oxygen into his system.
Now, you mentioned that he wasn't warm, he was very cold.
No, he was still very cold.
What does the team do to try to assist with that?
The most basic thing that we did, we turned the heat on as high as it would go. We also stripped all of his clothing off, just getting all of that wet clothing off of him. I didn't really have a role in that particular part of it, just because once you're on the airway, that is kind of yours. Nobody can breathe for him, so every time I squeeze that bag, he gets a breath. So I'm kind of tied to that airway for the duration of the call.
So when your colleagues are stripping the clothes off him, Is your attention on the close or more on the airway in your job?
No, I'm maintaining the airway. If an endotracheal tube is dislodged for whatever reason, it is typically more difficult to get one in. So the integrity of that tube staying where it is and not being dislodged, that is another key aspect of airway management.
As you're doing that, do you notice what anybody else, any of your colleagues are doing to help?
Like I said, they were working on clothing removal. I believe they were also getting intravenous and intraosseous access on this individual to begin medication administration. But again, I was quite focused on that airway, just making sure that it was maintained and we didn't lose any tube. We didn't lose any end-tidal CO2, which is just another monitoring device that we use to confirm that that tube is in place.
How quickly do you get to leave the scene and start moving towards the hospital?
I honestly couldn't give you an accurate estimate. It didn't seem to be out of the ordinary realm, though. We were able to move within the flow.
In addition to Mr. Keefe being very cold, did you notice any other injuries on him?
So I noted that he had a hematoma right above his right eye.
Could you explain to us what that is?
Yep, it's just, for lack of a better term, it's just a big egg. He had a pretty good bump over his eye.
And you said his right eye.
Yes, sir.
Did you know how that hematoma was caused?
No, sir.
No idea?
No.
In addition to the hematoma above his right eye, what other injuries did you see?
There were also several scratches on his right arm, just below his shoulder and traveling down his right humerus. They terminated right about his right elbow, just above it.
Those scratches, have you also described them as abrasions?
Yes, sir.
Is there any difference in your mind, difference between scratches and abrasions?
Nope. These were they were deep and they were not bleeding, but they were notably deep.
Did you ever describe it as furrows?
I did.
And in describing those scratches, do you have any idea how they were caused?
No, sir.
Okay. And did you notice any other injuries on Mr. O'Keefe?
No, sir. Those were the only ones that we noted. As I mentioned, we suctioned a little bit of blood out of the back of his airway as well. I believe it was blood, mucus, and saliva. But those were the extent of the injuries that I was able to note.
Did you notice anything about the back of his head?
Actually, yes, I did. I apologize. There seemed to be a little bit of matted blood around in his hair around there. Really didn't see anything too obvious at the time. He was also placed in a cervical collar as well, following intubation, and that was kind of there just to maintain his cervical spine. But there was, like I said, there was noted to be a little bit of dried blood on the back of his head.
At some point, did you finally make your way with Mr. O'Keefe to the Good Samaritan Hospital?
Yes, sir.
And just share with us what happens when you get there.
So after we got there, we handed off care to Good Samaritan Medical's physicians and ER nurses. We were able to give a report to the physician of just basic what we've done, what we've given for medications, in my case, what he was intubated with and how he was being ventilated, how well he was being ventilated, and any other further pertinent information. Typically, we noted that Tony was the lead paramedic, so that is typically he kind of holds the room for a minute when we get in there, gives a big rundown, and then we back off and let Good Samaritan take over.
Okay. When the defendant told you that she hit him, did that have any significance to you?
No, sir.
Did it reconcile with the injuries that you saw before you that Mr. O'Keefe was suffering from?
No, sir.
And so at that point, was that information insignificant in perspective of your care?
Objection. Sustained.
Okay. What role did that information play in your care after the defendant told you she hit him? How did that contribute or not contribute to what you were doing?
It really didn't help at the time. Again, I wasn't able to chase anything down from that. I just kind of took it, noted it, and moved on with my aspect of the cardiac arrest.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity at any point to see any video of that morning taken from any source, a police car, dash cam?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to introduce a video stream.
Okay. So this will be in evidence? There are agreements with some of the evidence already?
I believe there's no objection, but I don't want to speak for the defense.
Okay, thank you. Yes, you can show it.
And for the record, if I may note, this is Cruiser 683 Stream 2. I'm sorry. It is Cruiser 683 Stream 2. I'm going to ask to play a portion of it that's relevant to Mr. Nuttall. Ms. Gillum, if you would please move to 6:11 a.m.
Jeez, man, you can't see nothing.
Please stop the video. Mr. Nuttall, do you see the red lights reflecting on the left?
Yes, sir.
Do you know what those red lights are?
Presumably, those would be ambulance 1.
Yeah, so not what you presume. Do you know what they are, sir?
And those are the lights for ambulance 1.
Do you see the weather conditions as it's depicted on this video?
Yes, sir.
Oh, as you stood outside, was it same or different to how it appears on this video?
That is the same.
When you look to the left, you see a straight line about an inch or two from the left of the screen. Do you know what that item is?
Sorry, sir. Repeat the question.
If you look to the left of the screen,
Yep.
you'll see a straight item from the bottom halfway up the picture. Do you know what that item is on the
Believe
video?
that's a flagpole, sir.
Do you see a little bit of movement of bodies near that flagpole?
At the present time, no.
Okay. Could we continue to play, please?
Yep, there they are.
Could you stop, please? Did you see the first person in line now behind the person with in front of the person with the blue hat?
I'm sorry, sir. Can you back it up like 10 seconds?
Oh, you really can't see anything. But I'm looking at it on my other screen over here. I have a 2-screen setup. Okay, I see 3 people. One was a woman that was freaking out. I'm not sure if that was Karen or somebody else, though. But there are 3 people to the left. So I'll do my best to relay what I'm seeing. It's so dark.
Certainly. Keep going, please. Do you know who that person is?
I believe that's me, sir.
Okay. Could you please continue? Is this your first assessment?
Yes, sir. This is ascertaining any signs of life or breathing.
Is that you approaching?
Yes, sir.
Could you stop, please? After informing your return, is that after firefighter Flamati called you?
So right after that, when I turned around, that was when Tony said, "Hey, we're working this."
Okay. Please continue. Stop, please. And do you see a person come over to where you are?
Yes, sir.
You know what? Here's what we're gonna do, guys. Here's what we're gonna do. Just to
Is it
try
at that
to
point?
just try to help us understand a little bit more about what we're seeing here. It came right up. I guess a lot of people are looking up this address. Let's see. See if we drop ourselves right here. Yeah, it's blocked out, so that's how I know we're in the right spot. Okay, I'm gonna share this with you guys, just so you guys have an understanding of what we're looking at here. Okay, so this is the street here. This is 34 Fairview in Canton. Ah, yes, here's the flagpole. Okay, so the John was laying right about here somewhere. Right about here. So as you can see, if I go up a little bit, so here's the flagpole that was being referenced. Right. So he was somewhere right about here. Now you can't see the house. You can't see the house for whatever reason. Um Now normally if something like this does happen, you can go to Google and ask them to remove, your home from visibility. I remember I was doing the Darrell Brooks trial, and I was kind of following his path, and I was trying to show the house um, that Daniel Ryder lived at, that Daniel Ryder let him into before he was arrested on that porch, and it was blurred out. So that is something that you can do for your action. If you don't want your home shown, you can do that. I will. Let me check one more thing. Um, I'm gonna see if I can actually. Yes. Okay. So, all right. Let me show you all this. Um, so this, I believe, yeah, this is what the house looks like right here, over here. Let me see if I can just bring it up. And sorry guys, we're going into detective mode here. But yeah, okay, so this is what the house looks like. So this is 34 Fairview. This is the home. Uh and you guys remember it was alluded to in the defense's open statement that it was sold. Um I know you can see the history of a home. You look at it. There we go. Boom. Sold April 10th, 2023. It was initially listed for sale in November 17th of 2022, just a few months after, about 10 months after this incident, it was listed. Um, Again, this is a home they've been in since 2010. It looks like they bought it for 500,000. That's a nice increase in value over 12 years, by the way. But yeah, it was sold to that family. I'm assuming the Albert family in 2010. They listed it for sale in November of 2022, and they finally sold it in April of 2023. And so again, um, just looking at the home, this is where everything went down. And so you got to wonder if the defense's version of events is what happened. Kind of eerie, but in which one of these rooms did the murder occur? Questions that have to be asked. It's a really nice house, though. But yeah, this is it right here. So that's 34 Fairview. So just something to kind of help us put everything together about what we're even looking at, what we're seeing, because it is a little bit confusing because of the whole blizzard. So let's get back to it.
Point or another moment when the defendant said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
It was right there, sir.
Could you continue, please? Could you stop for a moment? There's no voices or noises from people coming through that audio. When you were there that night, throughout the event, was it silent or were people speaking? Did you hear people speaking?
There was, as I noted when I got out of the truck, there was quite a bit of screaming. It was quite chaotic. The wind was also a factor, but there were people around. They were speaking within themselves too, but there was screaming, there was wind, and there was different side conversations as well.
And when you were working on Mr. O'Keefe, were you having conversations with your colleagues?
Yes, sir.
They're not picked up on the audio?
No, sir.
Please continue. Sir, are you still at the flagpole?
Yes, sir. I'm kneeling at the head of the patient.
You remember, they're at the flagpole that I just showed you guys.
Are you included in that group of first responders?
I am not, sir. I have actually exited to the side with the bags. I believe I'm entering the ambulance at this point.
Okay. Thank you. We can conclude the viewing. With the court's permission, I'd like to approach and show a few exhibits to Mr. Nuttall. They've been shown to the defense.
Yes,
Thank you. May I approach?
yes.
Thank you.
No objection.
Can I show you a photograph?
Yes, sir.
Sir, do you recognize what's in that photograph?
Yes, sir. Those are the scratches on Mr. O'Keefe's arm.
Does that appear the same as when you saw his arm that morning, or is there any differences? And if there's any differences, can you share them with us?
That appears how they were to me at the time of the incident.
Okay. May I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes,
I'd like to introduce this as an exhibit, please.
okay.
Cross arm.
I'm going to hand you a...
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Pardon me, Your Honor. May we publish to the jury?
Yes,
Is that the photograph you just identified on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Showing you a second photograph, I'd like to ask you some questions about it.
can we take that one down, Mr. Brennan?
Yes, of course.
Please, Ms. Gilman.
Thank you. Does that photograph, do you recognize that area?
Yes, sir.
Is that the same or substantially the same area where you helped try to treat John O'Keefe?
Yes, sir.
Does that look to be a fair and accurate representation of the area?
It does.
With the court's permission, I would introduce this as an exhibit, please.
Okay, and there's no objection to any of these three?
None.
Okay, yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
With the court's permission, could I publish exhibit 2?
Yes.
And sir, that's what you recognize as the area where you were helping to treat John O'Keefe.
Yes, sir.
I've left one last photograph in front of you,
Yes, sir.
and do you recognize that?
I do.
Tell us about any differences between when you were there and what you see in that photograph.
The street appears to be plowed. There's bare pavement. The weather conditions are significantly better. It is also daytime.
If we could take down that exhibit 2, Ms. Gilman. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes,
I would move to introduce this as exhibit 3.
all right.
Exhibit 3 so marked.
With the court's permission, I'd like to publish exhibit 3.
Sure.
Is that the photo you just identified?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we can take that down, thank you. Thank you, sir. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right.
Okay. That was exhausting, guys. Like legitimately exhausting. What we're gonna do is we're actually gonna come back and we're gonna come back and do the defense's questioning of this witness because we're already at an hour. We're gonna separate these videos. That was a lot, but I took a lot of notes. I got a lot of information, and I've been paying a lot of attention. And we even got a chance to go on Zillow. Who doesn't love going on Zillow? Looking at houses that they don't own. It's a great time. So if you guys want more of this and you guys are enjoying what you're seeing so far, I'm going to keep doing it. Just like, share, subscribe, turn that bell on for notifications so that you don't miss it. And make sure you're following me on my social media pages and make sure that you get a channel membership because that is the only way you'll get to see videos before they are scheduled to be released if you have a channel membership. So check out those options. Join the channel today. That's all I got for you guys. I am going to go eat some lunch because that was a lot. That was a lot of brain power I just used. So until the next time, stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.